The reigning national champions have an opening for their top defensive assistant. Let's talk about some names. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching the #1 college football show, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to ask you to hit that subscribe button and join the more than 130,000 people that make up this community, and drop a comment below. Who do you think should be the next defensive coordinator at Ohio State? So that's where this conversation is headed. It's a shocker. There's no getting around that. Jim Knowles, who's one of the top defensive coaches in all of football, decided to leave the reigning national champion Ohio State Buckeyes to go basically in the same conference, not basically, in the same conference to, I think of Penn State as being independent even as their Big Ten school, to Penn State, right, to coach for James Franklin. Huge win for the Nittany Lions, massive get. You're going to get guys like Dennis Sutton, guys like Tony Rojas. You know, you're going to have capable players on that defense, but Ohio State's got this dude named Caleb Downs. Maybe you've heard of him. Maybe you think he's pretty damn good, and I would like to coach the hell out of him. There's a lot of things to do here. I think first is let's assess the position coaches that you got on staff. I've thrown Larry Johnson Sr. out there, but it doesn't look like Larry Johnson Sr. wants to be a defensive coordinator. It does look like he wants to call his defensive line, and that might be some of the friction that was met with Knowles and might have contributed to his wanting to leave. That said, Larry Johnson Sr. is like the best there is at what he does, coaching defensive line. I tend to want to take his advice and let him do what he wants to do on the defensive line. I'll coach linebackers and safeties, called defense as a whole. You know, that's what I would do. Again, I got this guy like Caleb Downs that I get to coach, and that would be a lot of fun. To say nothing of, short of the defensive line, you're probably going to be able to coach whatever position you want if you are the defensive coordinator. Now, I think Ohio State should have two guys circled, right? Before you get to the don't over-promote or promote from within. If you do that, you do that. The first one is Bryant Haynes at Indiana. Relatively new guy to FBS teams and FBS programs, but really, if you're an FBS fan, you're just learning who he is based on what he did at Indiana, which is no mean feat. Along with Curt Cignetti, they led Indiana to their first 10-win season, their first 11-win season, and their only two losses were to the teams that played in the national championship game. That would be Ohio State and Notre Dame. Coincidentally, Notre Dame and Ohio State both have openings at their top defensive position. Like, that might make him even hotter commodity for one of those two jobs, because there's still other folks that got a bid for you, to say nothing of like Oklahoma, who still may or may not be interested in looking for a defensive coordinator. Now, Bryant Haynes has been with Curt Cignetti basically since Elon, where he was coaching linebackers, and he had some All-Americans at James Madison, putting out a lot of studs, being able to identify great players that aren't necessarily name brands, bring them into the fold, teach them the defense, and send them out there to see who they may destroy. And that has been what Indiana was. Like, my favorite thing to do with Indiana was to ask people, could you tell me an Indiana player that wasn't quarterback Curtis Rourke, period? That's it. Just tell me one other player. And most people could not do it. Some would be able to get to like Elijah Surratt, right? And a little bit later on, particularly as we're getting into the college football playoff setting, they got a little bit better, but not a whole lot better. What I'm saying is Bryant Haynes has become a Broyles Award finalist with basically a no-name defense, which is the kind of defensive coordinator that you want if you're Ohio State. Someone that is being able to do more with less, and now you're going to give that person so much more and see what that defense can do. The other thing to take into account here is Bryant Haynes was a graduate assistant at Ohio State in 2013. Means he was a graduate assistant for Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer, who paved the way for Ryan Day, got Ryan Day on at Ohio State, and eventually handed the reins over to Ryan Day. That might count for something if you are Bryant Haynes and if they offer you the job, right? There's no guarantee that that's what they're going to do, but I got to tell you, if you're a Broyles Award finalist, I got to give you a phone call. Tim Banks has just re-upped with Tennessee. I don't see him going anywhere. Al Golden has gone to the Cincinnati Bengals. We know about that. I mentioned Bryant Haynes, and the other guy that we got to talk about in that defensive conversation is Pete Kwiatkowski at Texas. I have no doubt that since Steve Sarkisian got his raise and his extension a couple weeks ago, a little over a week ago now we're talking, that Pete Kwiatkowski's supposed to be next in line to do that, because no guy was more important to Texas' success than Pete Kwiatkowski. Like, that's just it. And you've seen him up close and personal if you're Ohio State. You understand that this is also a defensive coordinator that you would have to face in August, on August 31st, when Texas and Ohio State play each other in Columbus. I think if you can go get that guy, it's a home run hire. I think you forget about Jim Knowles pretty quickly if you can get Pete Kwiatkowski. Because one of the things that I didn't quite get was Jim Knowles wasn't a Broyles Award finalist, which means that I, who had him in my top 5 voting, was outvoted by other members who said, hey, look, we don't see it that way. And then the man puts together the top scoring defense, the top red zone defense, the top rush defense, the top total defense in all of football. I don't get it. But Pete Kwiatkowski got my top vote for the Broyles Award, and we'll see what the rest of the voters think when we reveal who that person who wins is. That said, he's a big name, and he understands what it means to be at a big-name university. He has a lot of experience both at Washington and at Texas, where he's been able to put out defenses that can rock and roll. You saw what he was able to do with Michael Taft. You saw what he was able to do with Anthony Hill. You saw what he was able to do with Colin Simmons. He has the Thorpe Award winner in Jahdae Barron. I think being able to give that guy Caleb Downs, that's a great way to look at life if you are Pete Kwiatkowski. You're going to have a pterodactyl at safety, and also might do a lot to keep Caleb Downs at Ohio State. Like, the spring portal is coming in April. I expect if the Ohio State defensive coordinator isn't one that they particularly like, you might see a lot of those guys go into the portal, especially knowing what we're doing, man. I think, my goodness, dude, it's looking a lot like Ohio State thought it could money whip Jim Knowles, but I didn't think that was that. I thought it was more like, hey, man, you've got the best job for your position in football right now. You're at the defending national champions. They are willing to overspend to go get you players, to keep players from going to the NFL, to get them back for you. They put together this roster to let y'all go hunt, and it was really your defense that was holding people up. And when you got it right after the Oregon game, everybody felt really good. Like, the last 10 games of the season were their best 10 games of the season. And remember, Ohio State played 16 games this year. It's a ridiculous feat, right? And what they were able to do in the college football playoffs, that was awesome. Like, I'm going to keep saying ridiculous because that's what it was. I don't understand not wanting to be there. That said, go be happy. And if he's happy at Penn State, that's great. Ohio State fans probably going to be in their feelings and outraged by this. But there's also already an Ohio State fan that probably is taking it kind of like, you know, what you do in a bad breakup is you about to get so fit, you about to get so buff, you about to look so good that all she gonna want to do is think about you and want you and want you and want you. That's where you're at, because you're going from sadness to absolute rage and grief, and you're gonna try to work through it because that's what we do. Speaking as a man who has gone through it and been through a second divorce in 10 years, this is not, gotta tell y'all, it's not fun, but throwing yourself into work, throwing yourself into getting to be a better version of yourself, learn Spanish, you know what I'm saying? Take up a new video game, reread some of the classics. Like, I made it through the Odyssey and the Iliad as I'm talking a bunch about it, but I also love that stuff, and that's my background is, you know, classically trained. Do what you know how to do. And what Ohio State knows how to do is go win, go play football. Go get somebody that wants to help you. That's the nice thing I think about college football, and this does not mirror life. You can go get booed up real quick. You can go get booed up with somebody you like real quick. That's what this defense coordinator position is going to be like, baby. It's going to be you getting booed up. That's what it is. It's going to be like, no, I'm attractive. People want me. Let me go put on the all killer, no filler outfit. Let everybody know that I'm on the menu now. You can go peruse and you'll find me, and I'm lobster and steak, baby, which how you want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Suitors, line them up, line them up. Have your own golden bachelor, baby. Have your own bachelorette, baby. You about to go through it. That's all right. You got your girls, you got your homies, you know, y'all gonna get your hair did, y'all get the nails done, y'all gonna go out there, y'all gonna go get that man that you know so much about, gonna love you. You know what I'm saying? You know this. And you looking at his friends talking about, see, I'm about to go through each one of your friends. I'm about to check each one off the list, gonna see which one of them is better than you. That's what I think Ohio State is going to do. I think Bryant Haynes would be a great fit for them. That's a young boy, you know what I'm saying? If you in your 40s and you want to go down a little bit, they ain't got to be smart. They ain't got to be intelligent. You got to be able to teach them, got to train them. You got that in you. You a good-looking 50-year-old woman. You want to go get you a 37-year-old man, you go do that. You know what I'm saying? You go do that. Go get you a 25-year-old man. You know what I'm saying? Go do that. But if you want somebody that can keep pace, you want somebody that's got, they own their home. They got 2 vehicles that are both paid off. They got the motorcycle. They are doing all right by themselves. They ain't got no children. You go get you, like a defense coordinator like Pete Kwiatkowski. Maybe you get you a 37-year-old black man. That's what I'm saying. All you get, Pete Kwiatkowski's not a 37-year-old black man. If you catch what I'm saying, you catch what I'm saying. If you don't, I can't help you. I can't help you. As a matter of fact, when I try to give these analogies, some people they tell me I don't get it. I'm like, because you ain't never been divorced. You ain't never been married. We have nothing to talk about. You have no life experience whatsoever. You never worked at Mathis Brothers. You never waited tables. You never tuned cars. You never fixed cars. Man, I was ASC and brakes and suspension trying to go through it at the University of Tulsa, and then went down to OU, dog. Like you, in many ways, I think that Bryant Haynes and Kwiatkowski could satisfy each one of these needs for you if you are Ohio State. So find out what it is that you want, pursue it, go get it.